either cancel or postpone and then set a later date at another time. I just think it's something that'll be really difficult to move forward with, and so maybe getting the public feedback would be better served at a time when you're more ready to take action on it. That's my recommendation. But we can hold it Thursday too if you want. I just think with all the transition going on and several other projects for a successor to hop right into, that would be a really big project too. And quite candidly, a pretty controversial project. It's an unusual thing, as my presentation noted. I still think it's a good idea, but at the same time, you need timing as well as a good idea. So I just don't think it's the right time for the city right now, on reflection.
Do you have a motion in that
I
regard?
move that we cancel.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Fire department truck purchase.
So, if you'll remember our last meeting, we had Cato Township, I'm in Lakeview more apparently. Douglas, Evergreen, and Sydney Townships here. As we all share a fire district, to discuss the fire department's request for a new pumper tanker. It sounds as though in one form or another, the three townships have voted to move forward with a USDA grant loan request, but Sydney Township specific motion is if there's no grant awarded and they do not want to move forward for financial reasons. My recommendation at this time is to start a conversation with USDA, but before actually entering into a grant request for a particular piece of equipment, requesting some further data from the fire department, number of call-outs, number of use in a tanker, number of other tankers in, the 4 district areas surrounding us. Just information like that. A, because it'll be useful in the grant if we do go forward with it. B, because it is a lot of money for each entity. And I do know that it's a considerable investment for some of our partners, some of our township partners. And before we agree to spend money on a new, very expensive piece of equipment, a pumper tanker combo, I think we want to just make sure we've made the data-driven decision and kind of talk it through a little bit. So my recommendation would be to request further information from, or have the city manager request further information from the fire department, and then to have a preliminary conversation with USDA regarding a grant loan request.
At this time, have you had any, is there any way to find out whether one of those grants can apply to be used?
Yeah, I've talked to Paul, and he said he doesn't know of any provisions saying it can't, but they almost never do. This is pretty much his experience. He's had no experience with a used vehicle purchased through. The program is community facilities. It's a community facilities program through USDA Rural Development. It's used to be a grant program. They're moving it, transitioning more to a loan program. You can, in best case scenario in our community, get a 35% grant and then a 65% loan. You cannot get a grant without a loan, but there's no penalty to pay that loan off early. So you can set up early payoff plans, which a lot of communities try to do. But they won't give you the grant without the loan because their reasoning is they'll make some of that grant money back in the interest payments on the loan. So it's very unlikely that we'll be able to purchase a used vehicle and attain a grant. I can't say that they wouldn't finance one, but I'm pretty confident they will not issue a grant for one. But I think just to do our due diligence and get some data to drive our decision making, it would be good to know how many tankers are in the area, what's the mutual aid policy. Just get all that on paper in front of you guys so that you can make a more informed decision. I think it makes sense to continue the conversation with the townships. They've all voted to go to move forward with this in one form or another, as I said. I'm close to agreeing with that, but at the same time, it's something that needs to have a little bit more information. That's my recommendation. And it'll be at your next meeting where we get that done.
So you're recommending that we table it until we get further information?
Yeah, with the specific caveats that I said, instructing the city manager's office to contact the fire department and request information, and then to have a preliminary grant kickoff conversation with USDA, just to keep the ball rolling.
Have you got a list of some of the things that you want information on?
Yeah, like so some of the things I said. So like number of towing-outs annually, number of call-outs that specific tanker was involved in. Of those call-outs, how many were in the district, how many were mutual mutual aid calls, how many tankers are in the surrounding districts, how often are they called in for mutual aid into our district, just to give we're gonna need all that information anyway, if the USDA is gonna loan us 300 grand for a truck, so it'd be good to have that before we even get that far. And, just working with the fire chief, who's here tonight, just in a little bit more detail to get this fleshed out, I would say. And I'm sure Brian will set a meeting with me, yet this week maybe, to get that information pulled together, so.
Do we have a motion?
So move.
Support.
Been moved and supported to table the consideration for the purchase of a fire department truck, but instruct the city manager to obtain additional information from the fire chief, as well as start a conversation with USDA regarding the grant application. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. No further discussion. No one did. You caught me again, Caroline. I didn't catch it. Motion carries. Move along to the city manager succession and the Lakeview partnership discussion, as well as Jake's review.
Yeah, so I think just kind of go in that order. So Lakeview last night at their regular meeting voted to recommend to the city commission of the city of Stanton to continue the shared services arrangement and to post the same posting on MML that was used in 2014 with the same salary range. So that was what they're doing. If you guys decide to do something different, they're going to be calling a special meeting to go back to the drawing board. They had a pretty good discussion as to what they thought the strengths were of the shared services arrangement. My recommendation is also that you continue it after a lot of kind of soul searching and thinking about, could this be, I think the answer is like this could be a full-time management spot in both places, but it brings a lot of financial advantage as well as an opportunity to collaborate and learn a lot interagency. And so with the right candidate, I think it's a really good arrangement. So basically what we need to do on your guys' end is to decide if you want to continue it and if you agree with Lakeview's recommendation to post, in which case I think they're ready to post it whenever you guys say so.
Do we have a motion in that regard? And then we can discuss it further. Do you have support?
Support.
Moved and supported to continue to pursue the joint city manager arrangement with Lakeview, as well as have Lakeview post on our behalf, as well as theirs, and with MML, isn't that now?
Yep, Michigan Municipal League.
MML, the classification similar to the one that, or the same as the one that we did in 2014.
I believe there was also discussion of putting it in both the Greenville Daily News classifieds as well as the Lakeview Area News classifieds, just to keep it county newspapers involved as well.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, is that, either one of you talked to the head of Lakeview?
Yes,
Have you?
yes,
Are they willing to keep going?
yes.
Yeah, they're very much in favor. There was a unanimous vote, and initially there was some talk of a former village employee coming back to be a full-time village manager as well as public works director over there. But after running those numbers, it didn't really make a lot of financial sense on their end, because it would involve not only hiring that person, but also hiring a new full-time DPW employee. So it was actually a considerable financial disadvantage to follow that model. And so after that was ruled out, they were very adamant about continuing the shared service.
Yeah, I haven't talked with Ed since their meeting last night, but prior to that, he said he obviously wanted to discuss it at their meeting, and his inclination was to continue on, but obviously it was up to the council as a whole to make that decision, so obviously they have. So,
Yeah, I don't see any reason to change.
any further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to say that I agree with doing that. However, I would like to see a firm plan or timetable, or both, as to how to proceed with the names that we get. In other words, I'd like to know who's going to be on the panel to go through the names. I'd like to have a general idea of timetable when they expect to recommend names. I don't want to just drug on and on and on and on. So when we do this, I want to make sure, and I will personally try to hold us accountable for that we keep moving on this, because we have vital projects that are in process that will suffer if we don't have not an immediate, but an expeditious selection for the city manager.
I think, I put this item on the agenda with the idea that if the commission was comfortable, either establishing a committee or recommending committee members to Lakeview tonight, that discussion, there's no reason not to have that, because if the posting's going out, conceivably, if you're going to allow 3 weeks to 4 weeks, which is industry standard, if it goes out tomorrow, you're going to want to have your committee, and you're going to want to sit down with the Lakeview version of that committee and talk a little bit about what everybody's looking for. So, it might be a good idea to discuss that tonight and determine who's going to want to serve on that. I think it was 3 members from each last time. Yeah. So,
I think that we'll be changing, having a new mayor at this particular time. And I think it's real important that he would be on this committee.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
So you're volunteering Larry, more or less.
I don't know where you're not to.
I think his expectation.
I've already talked it over with him.
Right, and I talked to him a little bit today too, and that was one of the things we discussed.
But I would like to be on that myself.
I think it would be important to talk to Larry to see who he would be interested
Yeah.
in having on the committee, who's willing to, and who he would want to, because I think that's going to be important in picking the next city manager. So there's interest from you, Ken,
Yes.
interest from anybody else, Lou,
I would be willing to
Carl.
serve.
depending on time frame. You may be otherwise active. Jane, any interest?
I got it on my plate already. So
Okay.
there, I have one
Okay.
plate.
So, any further discussion on the posting at this point? All those in favor say aye.
Was there a motion?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Was there? Didn't we have a motion?
Okay, yeah, Chris done moved.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I was
sorry.
gonna say, am I moving too quickly?
No, that was me.
All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And then anything else on,
Nope, I'll bring that back to them, and I believe the finance director was gonna take care of posting that tomorrow. So she'll get that out to the newspapers. Any costs for that, they'll just send an invoice for half, and all that good stuff. So, good, that's on the right track.
so there's not a deadline, but it's 3 to 4 weeks typically to
Typically,
take.
Typically a month is standard, sometimes you see 3 weeks, but that kind of sends, those of us in the field that know what to look for, that kind of sends a message, these people are in a hurry to get somebody on. I've seen them as low as like 2 weeks, and that's, just not adequate, and usually those people end up not hiring somebody. So a month is what I would recommend, keeping it open for a month. I wouldn't go so far as to recommend like an executive search to the lead, because that costs money. All that does is it highlights your classified ad in yellow, keeps it up at the top, and then they directly vet candidates for you, so they'll make sure they have all their information and send you a little dossier on all of them. You can do all that stuff in-house. It's not really worth the money, in my opinion. But yeah.
All right. We're gonna move along to Jake's city manager evaluation. You're prepared to proceed right now?
Yeah, that's fine.
So we conducted the annual review, and thankfully everybody participated in that review. Unfortunately, it's also an exit review. But overall, on all of the categories that we calculated on: personal, professional skills, status, relations with the city council, policy implementation, reporting, resident relations, supervision, as well as fiscal management. They were scored on a 1 to 5 basis, with 1 being poor and 5 being excellent. The overall score was a 4.25, which is somewhere between above average and excellent, so those were very good scores. And I had some comments that I wanted to read that were provided in the evaluation as well. I wish that Jake would have been more proactive in letting the commission members know that he was going to apply for the city manager's position in Muskegon Heights, instead of first informing us that someone would be calling from the search agency about it. I'm also very concerned that with many initiatives and grants that Jake has started, it will be difficult to follow up on now that he is leaving. Even with planning, many pending initiatives will need to be researched by the new city manager, making the transition more difficult. We may not have been so bold as to take on so many new initiatives if we had known he was leaving. Veterans Park, DDA, buying and selling city lots on the website. Now it will be up to the commission to help orient the new city manager to what has been planned. Sometimes Jake missed the small details and became absorbed in the big picture. Further comment was, I feel that the city manager has done an outstanding service for the city of Stanton. I would have preferred hearing of his acceptance to his new endeavors by personal contact or email rather than finding out by the news media. And finally, Jake has been such an asset to our community. His initiative and passion have contributed to some new traditions and exciting things to come, like the Taste of Montcalm, Veterans Memorial Park, etc. His creative ideas have breathed life into our city, and I hope that we continue to have the momentum that he facilitated. I think those are instructive comments, but also very complimentary comments, and I know that it's been a pleasure working with you at this point. It's not going to impact me personally very much longer, but I really appreciated working with you, and I made you a copy of the,
Thanks.
not the comments, but the overall score.
Sure.
I think that's an excellent score and
Well, I appreciate it.
something we could be very pleased with.
I appreciate the review, and I'll definitely take that advice into consideration. Concerning the transition, I understand that that's a little bit timing, and that's the only position that I've applied for other than this one. I had every intention of finishing my contract. I think I've spoken to all of you one time or another and mentioned, this is really a call to service thing. It's not because I was unhappy here or in Lakeview, quite the contrary. It'll be very difficult to leave. So understand, and I quite frankly, I would prefer to be able to tell everybody in person before it was out in the newspapers, but I didn't have that opportunity. It was pretty quick. It happened. So, but I do appreciate the feedback, the constructive feedback. I'll definitely take that into consideration. And as far as your successor coming in, I'm very confident that we're going to leave it in a smooth transition point, and our consultants have all been appraised. I will have projects on my last day about every active project we've got here, which should give them, if they are the caliber of employee that I hope you're hoping to hire, they should have no trouble picking up right where I left off and getting things done for you guys. So I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Move on to the calling of a public hearing regarding the repeal of the arcade ordinance.
I would like to have made an additional comment.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Carl.
And even though I did make a comment, and I won't tell you which one it was, I just wanted to say this, Jake, personally. I've told you personally, and now I want to declare publicly, you're aware of the fact that I was the only one that voted against you coming, but I was pleasantly surprised by your performance. I was greatly impressed with your public relations skills and your vision for the city. And I personally want to thank you for the job that you've done and wish you the very best in your new position.
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate that.
Any other comment from anybody else? Now we'll move on to the calling of a public hearing for the repeal of the arcade ordinance.
Sure. So as you'll recall, we did have a business owner or a building owner rather come in and request that we consider repealing our current video arcade ordinance, which dates back to, I believe, 1984. Back when open air video arcades were very popular in cities, with obviously various amounts of noisy electronic games, that kind of stuff. Provisions of this ordinance require that she register and pay an annual due or an annual fee on every piece of electronic entertainment, is what they call it, in the ordinance, and it is a bit suffocating for her. She's trying to open a teen youth center where she'll have essentially concessions would be the market side of things, and she would allow free access to video game consoles, pool tables, old school video games, that kind of stuff. And she's trying to make a go of that. Also have some computer and video game console repair services there as another point of income. And she's requesting that we consider repealing this ordinance as it's outdated. I just randomly contacted other people in town and talked to them about it a little bit, and nobody seems opposed to the idea of a youth center downtown. Nobody seems to think that this ordinance needs to stay. So the first step is to call a public hearing to allow public feedback on a potential repeal of that ordinance, which I would recommend that you guys call tonight. And it would take place at 7 p.m. on the 27th, immediately preceding your regular meeting. And then you can consider repeal.
Did we have a copy of that in our?
It was in a previous packet, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. I didn't put it in this one,
I
I
thought
probably
that
should
it
have,
was,
but
but,
I
okay.
didn't think of
Do you
it.
remember which ones? We go back
The
and,
last.
It was,
the last
yeah,
one, okay,
yeah.
thank you.
It was just a first review last time, and now this would be the public hearing where people could determine what they want to do.
Do we have a motion in that regard to set the public hearing?
I support it.
Did we have a motion?
Move.
You, okay. Do we have support? I might have missed something, Lou, I'm sorry, it could be me. Do we have support? Support. Moved and supported to set the public hearing on the consideration for the repeal of the arcade ordinance for September 27, 7 p.m. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Recycling dumpsters.
Yep, so as you're all aware by now, Montcalm Township voted to rid themselves of the county recycling, on-site recycling program. Because of that, we've noticed that our site has been getting a lot of extra use. I think people are coming from Montcalm Township into the city to utilize the recycling program here. And I have noticed personally on several occasions it's been overflowing. We've put in calls, myself and Janet, I believe, contacted them to try to get something done about it. They would like to, these dumpsters are bought and paid for a lot of times. And so the county is actually offering to put additional dumpsters at our site to accommodate the new use. So I want you guys to consider that. At first it looked as though maybe the recycling program wasn't too long for the world in Montcalm County, but the Public Services has actually picked up the contract for the corrugated cardboard, which was formerly held by Recycle World, which is now closed. So they do have full service recycling on site at the same schedule that they had before, more or less. It's still a viable program. We have not been approached for a cost sharing measure, which I fully expect will happen at some point, as we've discussed in the past. But in the meantime, it's getting used very heavily. I think the extra dumpsters in that parking lot would be handy. That's the long and short of it.
How many are there again?
Right now, I believe we have five or six. We have, I think, 3 general recyclable green ones, which just, everybody who's here, if you use it, corrugated cardboard can be put in the green ones, can be put in the green bins as well as the brown bins. The brown bins are just for cardboard. But cardboard can go in any of those bins, just for your own edification. They've asked us to share that whenever possible. So we have, I think, 3 green and 2 brown bins right now.
And we'd be getting,
At least 2 more. They have 4, but they're thinking about splitting them between a couple sites.
okay, and are those green or brown, do you know?
I think green.
Okay, so that all.
They'd be general
General
recycling.
ones,
Yeah.
okay.
Are any of those ours? Because I feel like we did just the
Cardboard ones, right? Yeah.
Purchase the cardboard one.
Yeah, same with Lakeview and Howard City. They were overflowing a lot. They wanted to separate the cardboard because at the time scrap plastic was valuable and it was more expensive to take it to the recycling center and split it than to just have the cardboard separate. So they went around and basically invited people to purchase those brown ones. And so yeah, we do own the brown ones. So this would take us up to a minimum of 7, maybe even more at this point. I think our site's it's in the top half of the sites that are used in the county, and I think only exceeded by Howard City and Lakeview, if I'm not mistaken, which that's right along the highway corridor there, close to some population centers. So.
Do we need a motion to accept those?
Make a motion to bring in the extra recycling dumpsters.
Moved and supported to accept the extra recycling dumpsters. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah. What I'd like to see when we we're gonna spread that out, sometimes you come down with a heavy unit to put in there, you can't get to the back. And I'd like to see some lines painted there to where you can get around them good,
Space
down in the
amount.
back of them.
Yeah, we've discussed that several times, and I actually requested that twice. And initially it was supposed to happen, and then they had a staff transition for the recycling program. And I think I requested it again, and then shortly after that, Montcalm Township they elected to end the program. So I think we just got lost in the shuffle. I'm sure they won't have a problem spread them out for us a little bit along that back line.
Why couldn't we paint the lines?
Well, I think there's parking lot lines already painted
Well,
underneath.
yeah, but there's a handicap right there by them.
Mm-hmm.
It's got shouldn't be a
Set of
handicap.
stairs right there.
It's got stairs.
Yeah.
That could be moved over on the other side of the parking lot, and then you'd have that whole area.
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to that idea, so I'll, assuming the motion passes, I'll reach out to the county and let them know, and ask that they get spaced out so people can reach the back of the bins and sides and stuff.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
All right,
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Public comment.
Wait for motion regarding trees. I have a question, or an observation, I should say. When James Freed left last time, there was a lot of information that he left here at City Hall. He said he copied his whole hard drive, but when people went to look for it, I think Jake and Janet were unable to find that information. I'm just wanting to suggest maybe leave the information in a couple different places where we know that it'll be here.
Any other public comment?
I think it's admirable that you're keeping the recycling bins. I thought maybe we'd probably lose them, but it's a good thing for the community. And if those brown ones are ours, maybe paint City of Stanton, property of Stanton or something on them. Otherwise it may get lost in the shuffle.
Not really a comment, but getting any garbage things, like they're not coming in, or we won't say.
Oh, we get our share of inappropriate dumping, yeah, it's, for some reason, it doesn't seem to be as bad here as it is in Lakeview. In Lakeview, on a regular basis, we're pulling out old televisions, in one case, like a complete child's playset, like a jungle gym playset, all kinds of different things, but we do get our share of garbage dumped in these, yeah. And then, fortunately, it seems as though it's not as prevalent here, and the recycling company typically takes it, and then ends up getting sold at the center, so. If it's anything big, they don't take it, and I think a lot of times DPW or someone else picks it up and is a good Samaritan.
Any other public comment?
Is, obviously that's a cost from the City of Stanton to provide that. No?
Not yet, no, it's a county, so the way it's funded, just a quick 30-second overview, is the dump in Pearson, the tipping fees that are associated with the dump in Pearson, some of that money is returned to Montcalm County Solid Waste Authority Board, and they use that to fund the countywide recycling program.
Any chance they can come more often?
You know,
Any chance that I'll survive?
and even before all the budgetary issues that have made the news recently in Montcalm County, we were being approached by not only Public Services representatives, but also the Solid Waste Board representatives saying,